The Commanders host the Philadelphia Eagles here in Week 16 in a huge interdivision matchup here where if the Eagles win, they'll be crowned NFC East champions. But if the Commanders can win, they take down the team that many people are calling the best team in football right now. Welcome into the Commanders Report preview. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. And today I got keys to victory. I've got team trends. We'll be breaking down what the Eagles like to do schematically and how the Commanders can beat that heading into this Week 16 matchup. And make sure you guys stick around because I got my official score prediction here for this matchup at the end of today's show. So here we go, guys. We do have a sub-battle this week with our rivals at Eagles Now. And right now they're currently sitting at 61 new subscribers right now with their channel, okay? And this is just this week, all right? And by the end of the week, whoever has the most subs is going to end up being the winner, all right? Right now, we're down by 8 subscribers, so if you're new to this channel, you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, we are counting on you guys to click that subscribe button to help us beat Eagles Now in our sub-battle this week. Okay, now let's get into the preview here, where the Eagles coming into this game at 12-2, 10 straight wins, including a win against the Commanders in Week 11, coming to Landover at Northwest Stadium to take on the 9-5 Commanders. Washington's won 2 straight games, but against the Titans and Saints, both teams not doing too well right now. So this is really going to be a big litmus test for the Washington Commanders as they continue their march towards the postseason. But before we look forward to this game, let's look backwards to the loss to the Eagles back in Week 11, 26-18. The final, the offense really had a hard time moving the football and really had a hard time getting into the end zone. But then Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and that crew really did a good job in the second half. Barkley, in particular, had 146 yards, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, back-to-back touchdowns from Saquon. And Jalen Hurts didn't play all that well in that game, to be honest with you. The Commanders did a good job corralling that Eagles passing attack, just 12 of 28 for 221 total yards. So at the end of the day here, guys, I do think that Washington, now that they're adding Marshawn Lattimore, has a pretty decent chance of corralling Jalen Hurts in that passing attack. But the big issue is going to be Barkley. All right, and if Philly wins this week, guys, they're going to be NFC East champions. Now, in all likelihood, they're probably going to win the division anyway. I mean, they have a 3-game advantage on the Commanders right now. The Commanders need to win this game, and they need to win out, and the Eagles need to lose out in order to have a shot at the division title. I don't really see it happening, and neither does Chase Sr., the host of our Eagles Now channel, and this is what he had to say to Commanders fans.
Going into the year, I thought the Commanders were going to be much improved with this new regime. They were going to be a feisty team. They've been that this year. I've been very impressed, and the future is finally bright for Washington. That fraud, Dan Snyder, he's out of there. But what happened back a few weeks ago when the Eagles played the Commanders? Washington was a little feisty. They only gave up 3 first-half points. But then Philadelphia scored 20 points in that fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley with 2 touchdowns in 10 seconds, and the Eagles ran away with that game. Washington is not ready for this type of moment and the big stage. If the Eagles win this game, they win the NFC East. And they will win 30-20. Go Birds!
It's pretty clear that Senior's feeling pretty good about his team right now, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button again to help us win our sub-battle and really stick it to those Eagles Now crew, because these Eagles fans, man, they need to be taken down a peg a little bit here. All right, now let's get into kind of the matchup here. Let's talk about the injuries first, because there's quite a few injuries on both sides of the ball here. Noah Brown is going to be out with that kidney injury this week. Zach Ertz, Jeremy Chinn, and Zane Gonzalez are all questionable heading into the week here. Ertz and Chinn with concussions, and then Zane Gonzalez with a foot issue. Nearly played last week, so I kind of feel like Gonzalez will be able to play, but Ertz and Chinn have new concussions, and so it can be tough to get out of concussion protocol in just 1 week. So I would say Ertz and Chinn are less likely to play on Sunday. Then on the Eagles side of the ball, quite a few starters for them are on IR. Dallas Goedert, a very important tight end for them, is going to be out with a knee injury. Brandon Graham is going to be out once again. He's out for the season with a triceps injury. Bryce Huff is still on IR with a wrist injury. And Landon Dickerson got hurt last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers with a knee issue. He will be questionable heading into the week. And you look at the Eagles' schedule so far this year. First 4 weeks, it didn't look great. All right, like it was a very shaky game against the Packers, but they escape with a win. Then they lose in dramatic fashion to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons in week 2. You barely beat the Saints, and then you get smacked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, but then after that, after they came back from their bye in week 5, this team has been unstoppable. 10 straight wins, and some really quality wins too, man. Like you're beating the Commanders, you're beating the Rams, which looks like a playoff caliber team right now. You're beating the Ravens, you're beating the Steelers. You're beating some pretty good teams there. If you're Philadelphia, and you're beating them pretty handily, beating the Steelers last week by 2 touchdowns at home. And you take a look here at what you're going to be seeing here schematically from the Eagles. Nick Sirianni is the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a very good career record as the head coach of the Birds. And then his offensive play caller this year, Kellen Moore, has done a really good job this year, man. He really found his groove and really found what Jalen Hurts does well. He really hangs his head on the rushing game as well. They run a modern pro spread offense, lots of shotgun, lots of stuff like that, lots of spread formations. And then they brought in Vic Fangio, the godfather of the quarters and cover 6 kind of style of defense we've seen in this league over the last several years to call the defense. And this defense has been arguably the best in football here over this 10-game stretch where they have gone undefeated. Then we go over their offensive pieces here, and we start on the offensive side of the ball. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. Those are the 4 players that are their dynamic playmakers on this team and that you have to keep your eye on Sunday's matchup. Take a look here at the splits, and you look at the team trends here between the Eagles' offense and the Commanders' defense. Now, obviously, the Eagles, I think that they have the advantage in this matchup, but you also have to take the Commanders' numbers and ranks here with a grain of salt because they just added Marshawn Lattimore, who in my opinion is a true lockdown number 1 corner, and he changes the math here entirely. So you can look at the points per game trends here, and that would predict about 24 points for the Philadelphia Eagles here in Week 16, guys, with the Eagles scoring 26.4 point game, 26.4 per game, and then the Commanders are giving up 22.5 on defense. But again, guys, you have to take the Commanders' number with a grain of salt here because we just don't know how good this defense is now that they've added a true number 1 corner. Then you get to the other side of the ball here with the Commanders' offense versus the Eagles' defense. And, the Eagles' defense is among the best in the league, man. Outside of turnovers, they're top 5 in all the major categories. They don't give up a lot of yards. They get teams off the field on 3rd down. They don't give up a lot of points in the red zone when teams do get in there, but also the Commanders' offense is very good. All right, but, the last 2 weeks, Tennessee, New Orleans, the offense has gotten going a little bit better, but there's been still some issues, and this is going to be a real test for them as they look ahead to hopefully a postseason run this offseason, or not this offseason, in January. So the points per game trends here, the Commanders are scoring 28.3 points per game. That's actually more than the Eagles, but the Eagles defense is giving up less than the Commanders is right now at 17.6. So he's cross-referenced those. That would predict about 23 points for the Commanders, and if you've been keeping up here with the trends, that would predict a 24-23 win for Philadelphia. But that's within the margin of error, guys. The trends certainly predict right now, based on what these teams have done this year, that this is certainly a game that could be a toss-up here. And now that you add Marshawn Lattimore into the mix, you might even tip the scales a little bit in the favor of the Washington Commanders. So still to come here on the Washington Commanders report and our preview this week. I've got my keys to victory versus the Eagles. I'm going to tell you how this team should go about their business on Sunday to collect a victory. Then I'll tell you how to stop Jalen Hurts and kind of like his bugaboo and his kind of, way that you beat him, plain and simply, guys. And the Commanders did a very good job of this, by the way, in Week 11. But then I'll get into my Week 16 score prediction as well. I'll let you know whether I think the Commanders can pull off this upset and send a major message to the National Football League here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today to get what's the promotion here, Coop? It is it's $50.
A $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup.
$50 bonus when you put in your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action this football season. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You guys can take a look at one of the projections that we have here on PrizePicks. It's more than just football, guys. You can also do basketball. We took the more on points for Nikola Jokic.
They give you a free pick.
And they give you pretty much a free pick there on Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas to you. Taking the more on pass yards for Josh Allen as well. So the way it works, guys, if you get both of those right, you win and you know ball, and you can make some money with our friends at PrizePicks today. So again, guys, you download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup with our friends at PrizePicks today. Again, guys, let's download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. It's right down there in the bottom right of your screen for $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup.
You don't even need to win to receive.
You don't even need to win the projection to get the $50. It's that great, guys. So give yourself a little treat for Christmas here. PrizePicks, run your game. Some keys to victory here for the Washington Commanders to beat the Eagles. Got 4 of them for you guys this week. First one is to take away Jalen Hurts' first read, because Jalen is very, very good on that first read. He's one of the best in football. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you take a look at my scouting report from him, is that he's a plus rusher. So if he gets outside the pocket, he's a very strong rusher as well. So if you get into 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, 3rd and goal at the 1 or 2, he's going to be able to punch it in with that tush push, all right? So you got to keep this team out of 3rd and short situations, but the playmaking is excellent with his arm as well. If he gets outside the pocket, he can certainly throw on the run. Throws with great touch, great accuracy, especially down the field, and he's really good on that first read. But the pocket presence is not good if you take away that first read. He wants to leave the pocket, and he doesn't throw over the middle of the field all that well either. So the way that you beat Jalen Hurts, guys, is you take away that first read. It's usually A.J. Brown and sometimes Devontae Smith, but it's usually A.J. Brown. You take away him, and then you don't let him escape the pocket, you are going to have success against Jalen Hurts. Because if you force him to stay in the pocket and go through a 2, 3, 4 progression read across the field, he is going to panic. He's going to take sacks, and he's going to put the ball in harm's way, all right? So that's the way you got to beat him. The Commanders did a really good job of executing that plan back in Week 11 on Thursday Night Football, which is why he only had 12 completions. And the way that you can kind of force him to play the game the way that he doesn't want to play it, guys, is you send a lot of blitzes, all right? So 5+ guys attacking the quarterback, taking away escape lanes for Jalen Hurts, and then also you got to mix up man and zone looks. If he knows that you're in man or if he knows that you're in zone, he can pick you apart. So you got to keep him guessing. You got to disguise stuff. And like I said, guys, I think the Commanders did a really good job of that back in Week 11. And now, instead of having Benjamin St. Toast out there, you got Marshawn Lattimore out there on Mr. A.J. Brown, all right? And that's somebody that you can put in press man coverage against A.J., and he can be physical with him. He's got experience playing against A.J. Brown. So I'm looking at the matchups this week, guys. I think the Commanders match up very well. I think Marshawn Lattimore, his physicality and press coverage matches up very well with the physicality of A.J. Brown, and I think Samerstill has been really good in coverage this year, and with his lack of size, it's perfect going up against the shifty, kind of smaller Devontae Smith. So I think Washington's secondary is kind of built to beat this Philadelphia passing attack, and I think once again, Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. is going to do a pretty decent job at limiting Philadelphia's output offensively, at least in terms of the passing game. But we all know that this team here in Philly, they rely on Saquon Barkley and that run game, particularly in the fourth quarter, to put teams away. So you can't run out of gas in the fourth quarter. This is why the Commanders lost on Thursday Night Football back in Week 11, is because they were just coming off a physical game against the Steelers on a short week, and they just didn't have enough gas to finish the game defensively in the fourth quarter, and Saquon completely killed them in that final period. In this game, guys, you got to really do a good job at limiting Saquon's output in the second half, so you got to rotate guys in. You've got to really put that extra guy in the box to limit him all game long, and we all know Barkley is at his best in the fourth quarter, so you really have to hone in on that when you get to the final frame. And the way that you do that is you got to have a good, healthy rotation up front. Get Johnny Newton out there quite a bit. You got to put Sheldon Day out there quite a bit. You got to have a rotation at edge as well as inside backer. You got to really rotate these guys so they stay fresh throughout the football game. And then you got to keep Philly away from 3rd and short. You want to keep them in 3rd and long situations, and then you got to get them off the field. All right, you have to win the time of possession battle in this game. And I think that the Commanders, their focus needs to be on shortening this game. plain and simply, guys. And that is more of an offensive key to victory here, because the Commanders need to do a good job, like they did last week, of controlling the clock. They had the ball for more than double the amount of time that New Orleans had the ball last week in the Superdome. They need to have a similar type of game plan this week, where you're running the football, you're converting on third downs, you have to run the ball effectively, especially Brian Robinson Jr. For me, I want to see Chris Rodriguez Jr. get going a little bit more this week, and then you got to do a good job converting on those third downs, just like Jaden Daniels did against the Saints back in Week 15. Then if you do everything right here, you limit Hurts, you limit Saquon, you do a good job staying fresh throughout the game, and you really win the time of possession battle, and the game is close in the fourth quarter, you got to make the play. All right, whether that's a game-winning drive from Jaden Daniels, whether that's a huge strip sack from Frankie Louvu in the fourth quarter, whether that's a special teams play like a muff punt, you got to make the play late to turn the tables and really turn the tide, and then you got to put them away late. It's a very difficult team to go up against, and because of that, I will take the Eagles in a close game in this one. The trends say 24-23. That's what I kind of feel like is going to happen here, but I want to make abundantly clear here, guys, I have no idea who's going to come out of this game. I don't have a clear favorite in this one whatsoever. I'm going to ride the hot hand here with Philly just as an objective person here, and I know how Philly can really kill a team in the fourth quarter, but Washington, I think, matches up very well with Philadelphia. They will be home. I think the Eagles are really smelling their own farts a little bit right now, and they're going to be on the road. They're going to be feeling really good after killing the Commanders in the fourth quarter in their first matchup. I could absolutely see the Washington Commanders pulling off the upset, and as the week goes on, by Sunday, I might even change my prediction here, and I might even go with Washington to win this football game because I really like the way they match up. So predict the score for me down there in the comments section. Commanders versus Eagles in Week 16. Right now, I'm feeling like 24-23, close game. Eagles win, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And, of course, we're going to be going live for this game right here on the Commanders Report, an hour-long pregame show, followed by instant reaction and live play-by-play throughout the game. And then we got extensive post-game coverage as well. So if you want to join us for this game, we're going to be giving away a Jaden Daniels jersey as well in a raffle. That starts at 12 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for every single watch party that we have for the rest of the 2024 season.